Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on our deep dives into the most chilling true crime stories. Now, today, we're venturing into a tale that's so dark, so twisted, it's going to shake you to your core. We're unraveling the life and tragic death of Brittany Loritts, a radiant young woman whose future was stolen from her in the most horrifying way possible. This isn't just a story. It's a wake-up call to the flaws in our justice system and the hidden monsters that walk among us. So grab your emotional armor, because we're about to step into a real-life nightmare that you won't be able to forget. Trust me, this one's going to stick with you. Alright, let's take a moment to really understand who Brittany Loritts was. Picture this, a young woman standing on the threshold of adulthood, her eyes sparkling with dreams that are as big as the sky. She had her whole life mapped out, guys. College was just around the corner, and she was gearing up for it. She was ready to learn, to grow, to love, and to live. She was ready to make her mark on the world, to be someone who could change it for the better. Brittany was not just another teenager. She was a beacon of potential, a young soul filled with hopes, dreams, and the kind of youthful optimism that makes you believe anything is possible. She was supposed to be packing her bags, choosing her courses, and maybe even arguing with her mom about how many pairs of shoes she could fit into her dorm room. These are the rites of passage for young adults, the small but significant steps into a wider world. But here's where the story takes a gut-wrenching turn. All those dreams, all those plans, they were snuffed out. And the most heartbreaking part, the person who stole her future was someone she should have been able to trust implicitly. Someone who was supposed to protect her, not shatter her world into a million pieces. Okay, folks, brace yourselves because this is where the story plunges into an abyss of horror and despair. It was a day in July 2005, a month that should have been filled with summer fun and anticipation for Brittany. Instead, it became a month that would forever be etched in the minds of those who loved her. Her stepfather, Reginald Weeks, was the one who found her. Imagine walking into a room and finding such an unspeakable scene. Brittany was lifeless, her body violated in the most horrific way possible. The room was in chaos, belongings scattered as if a tornado had ripped through the space. It was a tableau of violence and violation, a snapshot of pure evil. And then there's the 911 call. Folks, if you ever hear it, it's the kind of sound that haunts you. Reginald Weeks is sobbing in the background, a cacophony of despair and horror. But here's where your skin really starts to crawl. Those sobs, those guttural sounds of anguish, they make you wonder. They make you question. And as we'll see, questioning is something we'll be doing a lot of as we delve deeper into this story. Alright, let's take a deep breath, because we're about to dive into a labyrinth of family secrets that add even more layers to this already complex tragedy. You see, Brittany wasn't just a victim of a heinous crime. She was also a young woman carrying burdens that no teenager should have to bear. During the investigation, the police stumbled upon a shocking revelation. Brittany had been pregnant as a young teen. The mystery surrounding the father of the child became a focal point for the investigators. Was it a boyfriend, someone she knew, or was it someone much closer to home? This opened up a Pandora's box, leading the police to scrutinize every relationship Brittany had, both past and present. Imagine being a detective on this case, sifting through the fragments of Brittany's life, trying to piece together a puzzle where every piece seems to lead to another dark corner. It's like peeling an onion, each layer revealing something more troubling than the last. And as they dug deeper, the police began to find inconsistencies that would turn this investigation on its head. Okay, folks, brace yourselves. We're about to delve into the character of a man who, on the surface, appeared to be a grieving stepfather but was anything but. I'm talking about Reginald Weeks, the man who found Brittany's lifeless body and made that haunting 911 call. As the investigation progressed, cracks began to appear in Weeks' story. You see, this wasn't just a case of a stepfather losing a stepdaughter, this was a case of a predator losing his prey. It was revealed that Weeks had been sexually abusing Brittany for years, possibly even as far back as 6 years. Let that sink in for a moment. This was a man who was supposed to protect Brittany, but instead, he was the monster she needed protection from. The police began to connect the dots, and a horrifying motive emerged. Weeks wasn't just afraid of Brittany leaving for college. He was terrified of losing his control over her. He was scared that Brittany, now becoming an independent young woman, would expose the years of abuse she had suffered. And so, in a twisted attempt to maintain that control, it seems he took the most drastic and evil of measures. Imagine being in the shoes of the investigators, realizing that the person responsible for Brittany's death was someone who should have been her guardian. It's a revelation that shakes you to your core, making you question the very nature of family and trust. Alright, let's take a deep breath, because what I'm about to tell you is going to make your blood boil. We're diving into a part of the story that exposes not just the evil of one man, but the flaws in the system that's supposed to protect us. I'm talking about the justice system, or in this case, the lack thereof. In a move that left many of us dumbfounded, Reginald Weeks was allowed to enter what's known as an Alford plea. For those who aren't familiar, an Alford plea allows a defendant to plead guilty while still claiming innocence. It's a legal loophole. And in this case, it was a travesty. Weeks was convicted for the rape and murder of Brittany, but served only 7 years in prison. 7 years, folks. That's less time than some people serve for non-violent crimes. And here's where it gets even more infuriating. There's speculation that the leniency of the sentence was racially motivated. Brittany was a young, black woman, and many believe that if she had been of a different race, her killer would have faced a much harsher penalty. It's a chilling thought, one that forces us to confront the uncomfortable realities of systemic racism within the justice system. Imagine being a family member or friend of Brittany, knowing that the man who took her life is walking free, possibly even living under a new identity. It's a slap in the face, a betrayal by the very system that's supposed to deliver justice. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the community's reaction. Because trust me, they were as outraged as you and I are right now. The moment the news broke about Weeks' lenient sentence, the community erupted in disbelief and anger. Protests were organized, signs were made, and voices were raised high, all demanding one thing: justice for Brittany. Social media was ablaze with hashtags like #JusticeForBrittany and #SayHerName. People from all walks of life joined in, united by a common cause. It was a powerful moment, a collective outcry against a system that had failed not just Brittany, but countless others who had suffered similar fates. But it wasn't just about Brittany. Oh no, this case became a catalyst for a much larger conversation about racial inequality in the justice system. Scholars, activists, and everyday people started dissecting the systemic issues that allowed such a miscarriage of justice to occur. Town hall meetings were held, articles were written, and debates raged on, all aimed at addressing the glaring disparities in how justice is meted out based on race. Alright, let's take a moment to reflect on the lingering questions that still haunt this case. You see, even though Weeks was convicted, the story doesn't neatly wrap up with a bow. Far from it. There's this unsettling feeling of incompleteness that hangs in the air, like a thick fog that just won't lift. Firstly, was Weeks acting alone? Given the complexities of the case and the dark secrets that were unearthed, it's a question that's been on many minds. Could someone else have been involved, either directly or indirectly? The police reports don't provide a conclusive answer, and that's what makes it even more disturbing. Then there's the question of prevention. Could this horrific tragedy have been avoided? Were there signs, red flags, that were ignored or overlooked? It's a heart-wrenching thought, knowing that perhaps Brittany's life could have been saved. It's a question that haunts her family, her friends, and anyone who's been touched by her story. And let's not forget, these questions aren't just theoretical musings. They're vital for understanding how we, as a society, can prevent such tragedies from happening again. They force us to confront the uncomfortable realities of our justice system, our communities, and even our own biases. Alright, folks, as we near the end of this harrowing journey, let's delve into the psychological aspects of this case. What drives a person to commit acts so vile, so inhumane, that they defy comprehension? Is it just the fear of losing control, as was suggested in Weeks' case, or is there something far more complex and sinister lurking in the depths of the human psyche? Psychologists often talk about the dark triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy as traits that could drive someone to commit unthinkable acts. Could Weeks have been a victim of his own twisted psychology? Or was he fully aware, fully in control, and just monstrously evil? And let's not forget, this isn't just about Weeks. It's about the psychology of a society that allows such individuals to exist, to thrive even. It's about systemic failures and collective apathy. It's about asking ourselves, what conditions create a Reginald Weeks? And how can we, as a society, intervene before another life is tragically cut short? This case serves as a grim mirror, reflecting the darkest corners of human behavior and forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about what we are capable of, both as individuals and as a collective. Wow, what a journey we've been on today. As we wrap up this video, it's hard not to feel a sense of profound sadness and frustration. The story of Brittany Loritts is a stark reminder of the injustices that persist in our society, and it leaves us with a heavy heart and a burning desire for justice. This is a narrative that will haunt us, and hopefully, it will ignite a fire in all of us to demand change. We'll continue to follow this case closely, and we'll keep you updated as more information comes to light. If this video has moved you, if it's made you angry, sad, or motivated to seek justice, then please hit that like button, share it far and wide, and subscribe for more true crime stories that need to be told. Your engagement doesn't just boost this channel, it amplifies the call for justice. Let's not let Brittany's story be forgotten. Thank you for joining us today. Stay safe, stay aware, and let's fight for a world where stories like Brittany's are a thing of the past. Goodbye for now.